athlete slipped, and Krasi stopped Levon in the straps on the inside. From there, he worked on Levon in typical Kostadinov fashion and fouled him out twice for the win.
I can genuinely say this is like the biggest thing that I've seen people say, which is that like I was like faking my reaction to get famous. It didn't even cross my mind. Who the fuck cares about who's in the audience? No one's going to be looking at me. Genuinely, every reaction you saw, I was not even thinking about the audience. I wasn't even thinking about, you know, the camera or anything. That was just an organic how I felt in that moment. And, you know, I ended up looking like a bit of a clown because everyone else around me wants Devin to win. So when Levon wins and I'm screaming my head off and everyone else doesn't care, it's a little silly looking, but.
Fucking arm historian put a video, Rise and Fall of RVJ, but that's almost like my career is like complete. Like he went up and then he came down. That's like we've been talking about maybe Alexei Vovoda.
He's in the chat, by the way. He's in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, you hurt my feelings with that video, arm historian, but I think I told you about that.
Did you actually go and watch it? Because I know that when we were in Ireland, you told me you hadn't watched it yet.
No, I didn't watch it.
You have to film yourself watching it. Okay, so we need a real reaction of you watching it as it happens.
Oh, my kids started fact checking me on that. And they watched the arm historian one. They're like, I didn't know this.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. How you all doing out there in the arm wrestling world? Welcome to Arm Historian Life. Let's see who's in chat. Hey Tomer, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Lat Rousseau in the house. What's up, man? Boss Royale, how you doing? TOS Move, hey man, good to see you. Muscle Bike here, of course. How you doing, Muscle Bike? Hope you're keeping well, man. Chuck, hey Chuck, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Arm Historian Life. Same time, same place, every Sunday. Today, we're gonna talk about what's been happening in the past week, as we usually do on a Sunday. Couple of little Fantasy League updates, something to look forward to soon. We can talk about kind of upcoming videos potentially, although that's kind of been put on the back burner lately. And then we probably should talk about the MAC tournament that just happened, right? Talk about the outcome of some of those matches. Latrousseau says, I was watching Mindy and Yanni's podcast while doing a late workout. Awesome. Are they still live? They shouldn't be live anymore, right? I saw that that live was happening a couple of, like an hour or two ago. Lorette haters are eating well, says Latrousseau. It's good that you're doing a late night workout though. I wonder, or a late workout, I guess, not necessarily late night. I wonder at what time people usually do workouts here in chat. I usually go for like 5 p.m. or something like that, 6 p.m. before dinner. Tomer says, Julius Maddox just did 347 kilogram in the bench press. Not arm wrestling, but both strength communities, and damn, he's strong. That's crazy, man. Yeah, my bench press really sucks. It's something I'm trying to work on, or I should be working on more, I should say. But yeah, my bench is really bad. Talking about bench press, Kazazuri in the chat. How you doing, Kazazuri? One of my training partners who's been doing really well on the bench press lately. Lat Rousseau says, I just can't get myself to be an early morning person. Yeah, I get you. I actually wouldn't mind training more in the early morning, but it just doesn't work out that way. On Mondays, I usually train with my girlfriend, so we do it at a time when we're both available. Lat Rousseau says, so I find working out in the evening best for me. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah. How many of you watched AMC actually? Let me throw a quick poll on here. I can unpin this message. YouTube will allow me to. I don't know why, but maybe it's like the overlay I'm using for the chat highlight. But my YouTube chat is bugging out a lot lately. Did you watch MAC? I got that right, that name. Their tables are crazy, man. It's been good to see it in action. Tomer says I do workouts as late as I can. My gym closes at 10 p.m. so I get there at 8:15. I would go later if I could, I think. Yeah, I used to be that way too. Latrousseau says I was watching Henry, Alex, and Kalina commentate MAC. Fell asleep before the last two matches. Yeah, I watched most of the event with some friends. I enjoyed it for the most part, although it didn't have my full attention for the entire event. But I recognized more people than I would have expected going into it. Both of the Larrett brothers pulling there was pretty cool to see. For those of you that don't know, and from here on out, there will be some spoilers. I think Milo won his match pretty convincingly. And then Auden, he lost to Artem Taranenko. I think 3-0, if I remember correctly. Alex says, another weekend live. Hello to everyone. What's your take on the MAC event yesterday, Historian? Yeah, we were just talking about it. I'll talk about it throughout the stream. I won't go over every match specifically like I do with East vs West and King of the Table. But I think all in all, the event looked quite good from where I was sitting. You know, it's hard, right? Because I believe their price point was, what was it, 15 euros, something like that, or dollars. And it's hard to compete, right? Because East vs West is like $5 more or something like that. And the quality of pullers you get to see is it's on another level, right? The main match at MAC was Auden versus Artem, which, you know, is a match I liked. I didn't mind that match. I'm glad Auden is finally like putting himself out there a little more and facing a real arm wrestler in Artem. But to have that as your main match, it's hard to compete at a similar price point with some of the big boys, right? So yeah, maybe they should try and quote-unquote fix that. I know a lot of money goes into production, but maybe try, man. Try somehow to get that price point down, because I think if it would have been $5, I think a lot more people would have tuned in. I know that might be an unrealistic number, you know what I mean, but I've seen leagues put on shows for less money and do just as good as production-wise, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's tough. I think they're in a tough position, but I hope they did well numbers-wise. They got their money back out of it, and they can put it on another event. Because all in all, I enjoyed it. Latrousseau says Kalina had 38 fever and still managed to stay awake. That man's a beast. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to. Tomer says Auden, I think, definitely got what he deserved, but I don't think he's gonna change. I just want Auden to stop bitching because he's annoying. Yeah, I've seen similar comments float around after the match. Like Reddit was ablaze with comments like that. Yeah, good on Auden for putting himself out there, I will say that. I don't know, I was thinking like, when Artem visited them, like the Larrett household, it seemed like Auden had the upper hand, right? Do you think Artem kind of sandbagged there in order to get a match? Or was the match already set at that point? Latrousseau says, I hope Auden never changes. It's funny how upset people get about him. Yeah, I think people tend to forget he's still really young, right? Just give him some time to figure out how he wants to present himself to the outside world a little longer. Yeah, and he'll be fine, I think. Fonseca's Alex says a lot about Auden's character is for social media. He says one, and when the phone rings, it's something else. So chill, guys, it's all marketing. Yeah, probably a part of it is. You'd have to imagine that Auden is getting some kind of media coaching, right, to a degree. Or at least maybe just through osmosis, through being around his dad so much. Might be the case. Let me see here if we can pull up some things. I usually go through the subreddit to kind of see what's on people's minds lately. I know that's not the be all and end all of like arm wrestling news and stuff, but that's my main source of it lately, just because I can scroll through it quickly. I don't know why, but I think a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think a lot of arm wrestling groups are currently on Facebook, right? A lot of the people that are talking about arm wrestling, that's a terrible way of putting that. A lot of arm wrestling fans are currently on Facebook, right? Discussing arm wrestling there. I think that's kind of the main source still. Or am I totally off on that? Because I rarely ever go on Facebook. I like neglect my Facebook account completely, so I know I shouldn't probably. Latrousseau says Artem said he prepared very well for this match, probably didn't want to get embarrassed. He looked juicy, he even went sober. Yeah, he looked good. I can't speak on his juiciness, of course, but yeah, he did look good, well prepared. Good on him for taking it seriously, right? Because yeah, that's one match he didn't want to lose, for sure. He's a smart guy using his last name to create a personal branding. People shouldn't take anything so personally. Yeah, and I think for the most part, people don't. It's just the people that tend to disagree with Auden's ways have the loudest voices, right? Which is not a diss on those people, you know, they're entitled to their opinion. I find Auden obnoxious sometimes too. Not gonna lie about that, but I also accept that he's a young guy trying to figure out, like you said, his brand, kind of, right? So Latrousseau said, I thought only aunties use Facebook still. Well, yeah, I always thought it was kind of a boomer platform. No disrespect to boomers, but that's just kind of the vibe I got from it. But yeah, apparently a lot of arm wrestling people are on Facebook. Which kind of makes sense, right? There's a lot of boomers in arm wrestling, so it kind of makes sense. Once again, nothing wrong with boomers. Homer says East vs West has unfortunately joined the bandwagon of modern, simple logos. They changed their YouTube logo. It doesn't look bad, but I don't like why they're doing it. I don't really care about why they're changing their branding. Like, what do you think the nefarious reason behind it is, Tomer? I'm curious. Is it like just because they're joining like a fad or something? Modern, simple logos? It makes sense, right? If the entire market is kind of moving in that direction. Unless you have something really special, it would be kind of foolish to go against that, right? Top Roll King says, hi, I fell asleep before the Auden Artem match. That's funny, someone else said the same thing here earlier. Yeah. I hate boomers, says Top Roll King. Okay, that's an opinion. Latrousseau says, yeah, I find Auden obnoxious too sometimes, of course. Still, I could never get so worked up to stalk him with hate comments and whatever else these nerds do. Yeah, for sure. I think just in general, that's kind of a good rule of thumb, right? To take with the internet. Don't take it that far. Never take it that personally. It is funny, and I did talk about this before. Kind of even on a small level, like my own level of content creation. It is funny how the negative comments stand out that much more than the positive comments. It is an interesting fact that is the case, even though I try not to let them get to me. Sometimes it still happens. Tomer says, I think it's Baxter trying to go with a fat. It doesn't look too at, it's just why change it. Yeah, I get you. It doesn't look bad. It's just why change. I don't know. It's a lot of the criticism towards Robert Baxter. I agree with, but some of it I just find like, okay, he's trying to change things up, I guess. I can't really fault him for that. Especially, you know, I think for a guy like Robert, who's kind of a quote-unquote businessman, and I'm looking at this through the lens of like having researched someone like Steve Kaplan, who was the man behind WAL. I think it's kind of a similar situation with Robert, although you would expect him to do better in that regard, seeing as he was an arm wrestler himself, right? At a high level. So yeah, like hopefully, one would hope you would get the best of both worlds. Like someone who's actually been an arm wrestler and who knows arm wrestling, but who also has good business acumen. Which, you know, with WAL, you could argue that Steve Kaplan was missing one of those two essential components, right? That being having any interest in arm wrestling. I think Steve Kaplan's interest in arm wrestling went as far as how can we try to get this new sport to a point where it's very profitable for myself, right? I think that's kind of where, and I might be wrong here, you know, I didn't know the guy personally, but I feel like that's where Steve Kaplan, the founder of WAL's passion for arm wrestling kind of ended. Which, you know, with Robert Baxter, hopefully, fingers crossed, like I said, best of both worlds. Hey, King's Move Social Club, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I haven't kept up with your content, King's Move Social Club. Have you put more stuff out? Unfortunately, I haven't been able to spend a lot of time on checking people's content. And even making my own content has been tough lately. Latruso says, my criticism to Roberto is why is his voice so soft, but he's a tall guy. You're saying you're expecting like a booming voice from Robert Baxter because he's so tall. Yeah, yeah, he's very soft-spoken. I don't really mind that so much. It's just the content of what he says sometimes is a little worrying to me personally. I don't mind the way he says it that much. He can be as soft-spoken as he likes. Top Rocking says, I think the event was so fast my brain was overloaded and turned off. Very nice passing overall. Robert needs to start smoking Marlboro Red. Yeah, to get a deeper voice or to get like a louder voice, raspier voice. Tomer says, wanting Trump versus Putin, come on. The way things are going, Trump would be cheering for Putin rather than facing him, yeah. Without getting into like any of the political stuff around that statement, Tomer, I do think that was kind of out of pocket of Robert Baxter to mention something like that. Was a little weird to me. King's Move Social Club says, I've been working on a niche for myself, but I've been working on it. It's okay, awesome. Yeah, can't wait, man. Not that I'm an expert, like far from it. I make a lot of errors myself, but if you ever like need someone to brainstorm with or something, or bounce an idea off, you can always contact me. Latruso says, yeah, that interview with Steven Baxter and Ray, he said some goofy stuff. Is his name Steven? It's Robert, right? Did you make this error before, Latruso? Hasbulla sitting on the Levan's lap. Yeah, that was crazy. If this wasn't a lost MAC, will that mean return of the Mac? Yeah, might be. Would be a good name, right? For their tournament. Muscle Bike. Yeah, and I see East versus West decided to... and maybe that was their plan all along, right? I don't know. but they seem to have decided to no longer keep their full matches behind the paywall. So it does seem like it was members first and not members only, which yeah, I kind of had that inkling from the start that was where they were going. But it is interesting, like looking at these numbers, I wonder, are these, because these are the numbers right after they went public, right? And I wonder if YouTube counts members only views. Because if these were the numbers just without the members that watched it before counted, then I can get it, right? 154 after 6 minutes. Sounds like reasonable, something like that. But if these are the numbers with the members who watched it included, then that means just about 150, maybe 400 at most there. People actually watched it as members, which is a lot lower than I would expect, if that is the case. You can kind of do the mental math, right? Like each membership is around $5. Tomer says Pradeep forgot to cover in the news that Arm Wrestling Bible has returned for part 10, I think. Yeah, I did see that. Top Throw King says, did anybody understand what in the hell was before Super Matches team tournament? What do you mean by that, Top Throw King? Like, before Super Matches were a thing? Or what happened before the Super Matches at MAC? Or Latruso says someone else called him Steven in a previous stream, thought it was funny. Yeah, okay. You can just keep calling him Steven and I'll know what you're talking about. Musclebike says, I love how Easter is just around the corner and it's still snowing in our little corner of the arm wrestling community. You're right. But it isn't spring yet though, right? It's not for another a couple of weeks, I think. We'll have to change it to like some flowers or something, right? Maybe some bees buzzing around. Won't be annoying and distracting at all. Mindaugus versus Hunter Noss. Left arm, interesting. Huh. I don't know about that match. Is Hunter Noss at a Mindaugus level? How much does Hunter Noss weigh? Isn't he heavier? Maybe I'm wrong. I do remember people at MAC talking about a tournament, I think, going on after the matches. But I don't know about before. There might have been. I wasn't aware of it, at least. But I do remember by the end of the event, they were kind of talking about how a tournament would be going on after the super matches were over. Latruso says, Hunter gonna kill Mindy. Could be. I would be surprised if Hunter is at that level, says Mr. Green. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I think I'd give the edge to Mindaugus. And yeah, Tomer, I totally see what you mean by like East versus West changing their logo. I don't know if I like it more. It's not bad. I don't know, I personally, I'd make the V a little bolder. Like stand out a little more, but that's just me, I guess. Here we can see a little part maybe of a... I won't show more, just a little quick sneak peek. Go and buy the pay-per-view if you want to see it, or wait until it's on YouTube. Aladdin and Genie streaming now. I think they're referring to Ryan Bowen's earring. Yeah, I like Hunter too. He seems to have a good presence out there on the stage. So I hope he does well. Yeah, I agree, Lazarus. So if you're looking at the USA right now and kind of the top guys in the US, who are we talking about? Like at least 40-year-olds, right? All of them? Like I'm trying to think of like younger guys. How old is Paul Lynn? Isn't he nearing 40? Like 38? I guess that's pretty young still. And then probably Corey West. What is he? Also something like that, maybe 38, maybe a little younger, I don't know. And then it's like Derek Smith, I guess, if you count him amongst the top guys. I guess he is amongst the top guys in the US, right, to a degree. Paul Lynn is like 43, okay, interesting. Corey mid-30s, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Derek is Muscle Bites age 39, okay, interesting. Derek is 17, yeah, that makes sense. That makes more sense. $39 seems a little old for Derek. 17 makes a lot more sense. Yeah, everything. I'm trying not to show too much of the footage here. MAC, apologies. But everything here seems to be about Auden. Ah, this one isn't. Was a good match. Yeah, what can I say, man? Artem really dominated Auden. Just seemed like Auden might have had hand control, but then Artem just powered right through him. Using some form of side pressure, it seemed, or at least assisted by some side pressure. That first round was magic, poor guy, yeah. Like in the first round, Auden seemed quite confident and kind of stopped Artem in the middle of the table. And I think started kind of yelling at him or something. And then Artem just powered right through him. Kind of satisfying, I guess. Yeah, that's another thing. I know that's like one of the claims that I've heard about the MAC tables, which for those of you that don't know, MAC is using some kind of new arm wrestling table that they invented, I think. You can kind of see it here, right? I'll try to zoom in a little bit. You can kind of see no real pads, just like an area outlined for the elbows. Around the table still seems like a soft surface. I don't know, probably a lot of other things that I'm missing about it, but basically a new kind of arm wrestling table, right? And one of the things that they were kind of claiming would be that it would be nearly impossible to do a king's move on these kinds of tables. At least that's what I saw floating around, right? But yeah, clearly king's moves still happening all over the place. Where are you going, buddy? Yeah, a lot of reminders of that match, that classic match between John Brezink and Monster Michael Todd. Tomer says, I don't think age matters a lot considering you get weak with age due to drop in tests, but with the North Americans they are only upping the test. Yeah, to a degree. I think arm wrestling is also just in general, like apart from testosterone and stuff like that, and PEDs in general. I think arm wrestling just as a sport lends itself well to longevity of its athletes, right? There is a lot of strain put on your arm, but the rest of your body, not too bad, right? Like I do notice after a tournament or something, I'm tired, of course, and my entire body is tired. But yeah, most of the strain is on the arm itself, so I think that helps to provide the opportunity for longevity in the sport for its athletes. Or that's one of the reasons, at least. Latrousseau says, yeah, they're probably gonna change something about the table. About the table, the MAC table? I wonder what. I'd love to see more iterations of it. I'm glad that someone is taking the time and effort to kind of experiment with this, because I think now is the time to do those things, right? At this level of notoriety of the sport, it's still at a very low level. You know, I don't know if it's ever gonna grow past that level, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys. But I think now would be the moment to experiment still, right? Tomer says, I like the AMC table idea. I think you mean the MAC table idea, right? Anything to stop Kings Movers is good. I think we need spikes or something. That's going more on the route of arm gods then, right? Putting spikes on the table. I remember hearing a story about back in the day when arm wrestling, when they used to do a lot of sit-down tournaments, which if you think about it, it's like a major evolution in the arm wrestling world, right? And the equipment we used and how we arm wrestled, that's one of the major points where arm wrestling really changed, I think, when the majority of tournaments started to become stand-up tournaments. But back in the day, when a lot of tournaments were still sit-down tournaments, they would check, because you couldn't lift your butt off the chair you were sitting on. So the ref would check with a stick if he could put the stick under your butt, so to speak, between the chair and your butt. And if it would fit in between, I think you'd get a foul or something like that. But that would basically result in, while you were pulling, there was a ref hitting your butt with a stick while you were pulling in a lot of these tournaments. Top Draw King says, the saddest part, Auden said that he was too small in the aftermath. Michelin 2.0 fat 300-pound Auden incoming. I thought he would switch attitude if he loses, but he merely changed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he needs some time for the match to set in, and like, I hope he draws the right conclusions from it. Just arm wrestle more, right? Build up more towards super matches with seasoned arm wrestlers. Just take your time in getting there. That would be my advice. Wouldn't be worth much coming from me, but that would be my advice. Tomer says, Arm Gods got the right idea. They certainly had a unique idea, for sure. They're not afraid to try new stuff, that's for sure. And I commend them for it. Latrousseau says, no ref better be sticking anything under my butt. Jacoby says, a butt stick ref might be the best way. Yeah, we might have to bring that back. Might be the right way to go, right? Tomer says, sit down, arm wrestling still goes on. Someone at my school's uncle won a tournament recently, he says, but it's not officially recognized by WAF or anything. Yeah, I'm sure it still goes on in the same way as... I don't think there's a lot of like really organized sit-down tournaments where you'll see some of the top guys competing like there used to be, right? I'm sure there's still a lot of local arm wrestling events that are put on, and a lot of them are probably sit-down because, let's face it, for the majority of people, and I do mean the large majority of people, arm wrestling is still viewed as two people sitting at a table and just arm wrestling on a regular wooden table, right? So yeah, it makes sense that a lot of those kinds of things that are being put on, like if someone thinks, oh, we should do an arm wrestling tournament for our local high school or something like that, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a sit-down arm wrestling tournament, and it's not like the kind of event a top puller is going to show up at, right? Troy Tueller, how you doing? Welcome. Get Auden on this stream. Yeah, I might shoot a message to Auden if he wants to join me for the Fantasy League. I've been shooting a lot of messages out to people, to arm wrestlers. I've pinned quite a few down already that will be joining me for the Fantasy League. I just need to kind of schedule them all in at a time when they're available, which is easier said than done, but I'm trying to get it all lined up correctly. And then we can start the Fantasy League. It'll probably be, if everything goes well, in about 2 weeks' time, maybe. Maybe I'll wait until after East versus West. Not quite sure yet. Butt sticks with the strap on. This sport sometimes, man. I do wonder who invented all these terms. What kind of a man was that? David Lyshin says Auden needs to trim baby fat so he can tell where biceps end and tricep begins. Needs to train like his dad used to. Yeah, sure. I think he can benefit from some full body workout for sure, but at the end of the day, can't we all? I can speak for myself and say I certainly can too. So yeah, I do agree that maybe he needs to hit the gym a little bit, build up the strength level, because he does seem to have a good hand already. He has a lot of the right levers and stuff. He has the experience to a degree, a good base already of technique. So yeah, I don't see why Auden couldn't just really work on his strength development in his arm and really level up that way. I think that would be an relatively easy way for him to level up his game a little. And I say relatively easy because you still have to do it. You still have to go to the gym and actually train. David says Auden needs to... Okay, I just read that. Jacobin says sit looks so lame. Who's sit down arm wrestling? I was thinking like, who's sit? Yeah, sit down arm wrestling. Yeah, to me, I know it's less dynamic, right? It does look a little lame if you're used to stand-up arm wrestling, for sure. Very young Matt Mask and Devon. These two had faced quite a bit when they were really young still. But from the early days, Devon had the upper hand on Matt, just from having more experience than him. Harmason says you're going to East versus West 17 historian. No, unfortunately, I'm not too far, man. I'd love to make it there one day to an East versus West event, and I'm sure I will at a certain point. If I haven't like completely blown all credibility with the powers that be by that time. But I'd love to one day make my way over to an East versus West event. Letrousseau says on viral videos about arm wrestling, you see a lot of comments from people that only know schoolyard arm wrestling. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Still the majority of the world. Got Azuri oopsing for something. Troy Tueller says yesterday was the IFA North American Championships. Really great turnout. I think over 400 entries. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a lot of entries for sure. I wish our nationals was at that level, but unfortunately not quite. I don't think we got to 400. I think about 100 or something would be closer to the truth. Letrousseau says, should Bournemouth get an East versus West match? Maybe. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Just to see people from more parts of the world, you know what I mean? I think we have such big pockets of untapped potential. It's just a matter of getting them out there. So yeah, I'd like to see it. Why not? Bowen questioning the Lara training regime. Yeah, I get it. I question it too sometimes. But I question Bowen's training regime sometimes too, so... I question a lot of guys' training regimes, especially in arm wrestling. Kazazuri says, hope the Enigma isn't listening. I was being friendly. I didn't say anything wrong. I just said I hope by then my relations with the powers that be are still positive. Harmison says, I question Bowen's weight cutting regime. Yeah. I think we all do. And I think we should continue to do that going forward. I don't know, man. For me, something like that, and I don't think Ryan will blame me for saying this. I think for something like weight, if you agreed upon a date and you agreed upon weight, just make the weight on the day. Weigh in with the guy there. Everything above board. Leave no room for speculation or weirdness or anything like that. It's just, that's the rules of engagement, right? And if you don't make weight, just be upfront about it, and you can still pull. It's just you forfeited the match. Simple as that. To me, you can still pull, but to me the result of the match is already determined then. Hey Verbeer, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Welcome. Troy says thoughts on episode 10 of The Illusional Ryan Bowen. Sorry if this was already discussed. No worries. Someone brought it up briefly earlier in the live stream. I didn't watch it yet. I saw it came out, so I'll probably watch it at some point. But yeah, I have so little time. Like, oftentimes I have to ask myself the question, like, do I watch this video, this arm wrestling video that I might enjoy, or do I take this time to work on one of my own videos, right? It's often a choice I have to make, and my own videos oftentimes win out, unfortunately. That doesn't mean I watch no arm wrestling content, because I do, obviously, but yeah. Oftentimes I'm faced with that choice, it's my own video is gonna win out. Music is too loud, so stop talking. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Turn it down a bit. That better? Mr. Green says, just be a man. Yeah, even independently of being a man, it's just the right thing to do, right? If that's what you mean by being a man, then yeah, I agree. Just do the agreed upon thing when it comes to stuff like that, especially if money's on the line and it's like a public thing. And I think people know by now I'm not a Bowen hater. I have a friendly relationship with Ryan Bowen, and I'd like to keep it that way. Nothing against the guy, really. But I do think something like that is so clear-cut to me that I'm sure Ryan won't mind me saying this, because it's just, you can't really argue with rights. To me, at least. I don't know how you could ever argue something like that. Someone says here, Jim Death says here, Auden is 100% super talented, and he will most certainly have a great career. That said, it was really interesting seeing his first performance against a real puller who was 20 kilograms lighter than him, to add. Was he really 20 kilograms lighter? That's crazy. That Rousseau says Bowen is his own biggest enemy. I swear, to a degree, I think most of the time, I think when Ryan does stuff like that, he's fully aware what he's doing. People tend to forget he's built quite the online presence for himself. I did a deep dive on his entire evolution on the platform, on YouTube and all his other social media stuff, and arm wrestling career and all that, when I made the Rise and Fall of Ryan Bowen. And the guy did hustle, man. He is a hustler. That doesn't mean he isn't delusional about some things. I think we all are delusional about certain things. It's just that Ryan wears his delusions on his sleeve, I guess. Doesn't mind his delusions being on display. Ryan understands the games, says Jacobin. Yeah, I agree. Chuck says, I'm here for a few minutes, but I'm sleepy. That's all good, Chuck. Coming in here to throw some of our elite emojis. Some boob historians in the chat. Thanks for that, Chuck. La Trousseau says, Artem was a bit over 200 pounds, while Auden was 240. Okay, yeah, so that is close to 20 kilogram weight difference, right? Close to, I guess a little less. Auden was so much bigger, he should have won. Yeah, he's also less experienced in a tournament setting, right? Homer says he was also a fake natty going into Zloty. Constant lies, but he doesn't even realize. Still talking about Bowen, I think. Hey, Musclebike, thanks for linking my latest video. Yeah, it's a... the video did as well as I expected it to do. At the end of the day. I never expected that video to do really well in views. Some videos I'm like, damn, I thought this would have done a lot better. I thought it was like, this would have been a home run, but then it does really badly. And then some videos I'm like super realistic from the outset, like, okay, this is a topic that interests me personally, and I'm passionate about the topic myself on a personal level, but most people will probably tune out at a certain point. Harmison says, back in his pound for pound arm wrestling days, I liked some of his promotion and marketing, but yeah, I can't defend everything he's done. Yeah, of course. Of course. Nobody's expecting anyone to defend everything Ryan Bowen has done either, I think. Yeah, let's take a quick look at the poll, right? I see 31% of you, after about 40 votes, 31% of the chatters here have watched AMC. MAC. I keep saying AMC. Someone made the same mistake earlier in the live stream, and I keep making the same one too. Yeah. So about 1/3 of you watched AMC. Interesting. I'll leave that running for a little while longer. Jacobin says, arm wrestling can be deceiving size-wise. Yeah, certainly true. You can be a way bigger guy. Chuck says, I see MAC topics. For people who saw it, was it worth it? Like, it's hard for me to answer that personally. I can't speak for anyone else, of course, but $15 was quite steep. Just because you gotta compare it to other options, right? Quite steep to me for the card. Mr. Green says Auden and RVJ looks like a good matchup. I doubt it, man. I would hope RVJ would still pummel Auden, right? Maybe it would be a good match, I don't know. But my thought would be that RVJ would like completely dominate Auden. Yeah, indeed, Chuck. A lot of people were still kings moving on that table. MAC was okay, says Stop Rocking. I agree. I enjoyed it. Boob Historian, there you go. My secret identity is Mr. Peanut. Boob Historian out. I don't know if I should believe that. I don't think so. That's not how Mr. Peanut types, I think. He didn't use one emoji, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Peanut uses emojis in almost every single sentence, so. But still, thanks for showing up, Boop Historian. Good to see you, man. Woman, sorry. Jacoby says, yeah, Artem stronger for sure. Yeah, it did look really good. Really good shape. Latrousseau says, I was watching some of the older Delusional episodes before this one came out. My goodness, some of those clips are ridiculous. Bowen telling MMT about what's he gonna do to Lavan. Yeah, I know. Trust me. Like I said, when I made the rise and fall of Ryan Bowen, I had to look into all of them. I hadn't watched all of the Delusional series before I made that video. But then kinda, in order to be complete in my research, I kinda had to, right? Mr. Green says, doesn't seem RVJ can figure out the King's move. Yeah, I don't know how much RVJ is still training right now. Has he completely given up on arm wrestling? Is he still uploading some content every now and then? I don't know. Boob Historian returns, yeah, indeed. Dan Plexman says, MAC was awesome. It was a great tournament to enter. Yeah, Dan Plexman, did I miss your... You entered in the tournament after the matches? Maybe you can clear this up, right? Because we were talking about this earlier. Did they have a tournament after the super matches or before? Or both? Top Row King says the MAC table is less King's movable. Yeah, didn't really look like it, but maybe. Jacobin says, pick on big weak guys, and the win looks impressive and the loss reasonable. Yeah, true. Gotta be smart with your picks, man. Boss Royale says, hello sir, what's your advice on life if you have any? I could do with some. That's a tough question, man, and I don't know if I'm in the best position to answer that. My life certainly isn't perfect, and I don't think anyone's is. So maybe perspective would be a good one there. Like, nothing's ever lost, man. You can always come back stronger, even if you're a little down in life. At the end of the day, you know, just zoom out a little on your own life, and maybe your problems won't seem so insurmountable sometimes. Because I know they do sometimes, but they never are in reality. Dan Plexman says, Chuck, I saw it and it was worth it. I felt similar, not too many big names for an unknown tournament. It was too much, says Chuck. Yeah, I get you. I recognized more of the names than I thought I did, if that makes sense, than I thought I would beforehand. So that was good. I saw one of the guys, I always blank on his name, I think Jason from Table Monkeys, also entered, and I think he even won his match versus Pork Chop, so well done on that. Also one of the guys that pretty clearly could still King's move on this table. Mr. Green says, last time it was cheaper, I agree, 15 was a bit much. Yeah, it did feel a little steep to me. Muscle Bike says, Autumn won't have anything for RVJ for at least another decade, if ever. Yeah, I don't think he's quite there yet either. Yeah, maybe it is plausible for Mr. Peanut to change his shape when he needs and kind of his speech patterns. Poop Historian looking good, says Jacobin, of course. I think she's been working on her tan. RVJ is mainly training his liver, probably. That's a low blow, Chuck. Let Rousseau says, I thought RVJ had matches lined up for this year. Does he? Awesome. I hope he does. Sorry for that cough. Dan Plexman says it was a 5-man New York USA team versus an Ontario Canada team event. Then it was 12 super matches, then a tournament. I entered the tournament. Okay, yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Because I saw people were a little confused about, like, is there a tournament before the tournament, before, like, the event, or after? Okay, and it's kind of both, right? Cool. Team events, man. That's awesome. I hope they made some footage of both those things. Love to see some of it. Yes, indeed, Jason Constantini, indeed. Seems like a nice guy. He's the same guy that had his arm broken against Devon, right? Broke his arm against Devin. Or I guess you could argue Devin broke his arm instead of him breaking his arm against Devin. Depending on how you look at it, I guess. Yeah, something like that, right? That was so. Hey, Dan John, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Welcome. What's up? Wesley says he tore his bicep. Yeah, I heard something was wrong, right? By the end. Or was that versus Devin? I thought he broke his arm versus Devin. But Rousseau says, yeah, Devin broke Jason's left arm, yeah. Devin used Jason's forearm as a trampoline. That's a very poetic way of putting it. Like that one. Let's see, the poll remained largely the same. Still about 30% watched MAC, so I think that's pretty good. All in all, for a new promotion, 30% of Arm Historian viewers watched it. Pretty good. Which ability would you rather have? The Curse of Ryan Bowen, which is the ability to have your opponent suffer career-ending injuries within days of your challenge, referring to like Todd Hutchings and stuff, or the Curse of Vitali, a 5 out of 6 chance to horribly injure your opponent with a 1 out of 6 risk of injury to yourself. It's like it's like gamifying arm wrestling, right? It's almost like an RPG here. Choose your ability to start with. How would you rather start your arm wrestling career? Some been saying to make Auden versus School Bus. Some even said Auden versus Bacho. I know. Don't do that. Awesome. What do you guys think of this card? And be honest, right? Kind of taking it in now myself, all of them. It's not a bad card. You can't call this a bad card, right? It's got Devin, it's got John Berzink, it's got Yoshi. Chafee versus Svetkov, good match, I think. Mask versus Angerbayev is interesting, but both guys are really entertaining, I think, in their own ways. Interesting women's match. Good to see Sarah back on the stage. Yanis versus Tarasatis, which I think is the best match, probably, out of these. Might be the best match. Two technicians kind of going at it. Cody Merritt versus Prudnik is interesting. That's on the left arm, right? I'm assuming. That's really interesting. Couturier versus John Terrian. Hunter Noss versus Fallon Lowe. I don't know. I think I've seen Wood before. I'm blanking on his first name. But I don't know if I've seen Moranto before. Andrei Sharkovich versus Kachatarian. I've heard of Kachatarian. I don't know if I've seen him. Probably have a couple times. Kingsmove Social Club says, God, I would totally play a Magic the Gathering arm wrestling game. Do you think they'll ever do like what's the name again? Like the Extended Universes arm wrestling edition? I don't think they would, right? But yeah, I totally play the shit out of that too, Kingsmove. Harbison says, gotta go, Historian, love your content though, man. Side note, if you ever work on a video for Mr. Matt Mask and need footage, I edit for him and have a lot of my own original content. Awesome. Funny story about Matt Mask, and I've repeated this a bunch of times, but Matt Mask is one of those people that I made a Rise and Fall video on, and I was really cool about it. He actually reached out to me to tell me that he really enjoyed the video. So yeah, awesome. I'll keep that in mind, Harmison. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. That's a cool job to have, man. Latrousseau says, I like the card. It's definitely not the biggest one. People got spoiled by past events. Yeah, I get you. I feel kind of the same, right? There's been a couple of these events where, for some reason or another, it just didn't really click for people. And this might be one of those events, judging by some of the comments I've seen. But I don't know if that'll actually result in selling less pay-per-views, though. Be interesting to get a look at the numbers, but I'm sure we won't ever get to do that. Mr. Green says, good matches for people who are into arm wrestling, but nothing for the normie. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like, right? I think we're kind of at that point where maybe we should try to kind of go the king of the table route and get a social media match in there. Hard to say. Good to see Sarah back on. Yep, indeed. A lot of Magic fans here. That's cool, yeah. I'm a big MTG player. Chuck says, I have very mixed feelings. Going by the rule, vote with your wallet. I don't want to discourage East versus West from smaller names, but also there is matches I'm not interested about merit. Yeah, I get you. I get you completely. And it's hard because, like you're kind of alluding to, most of us are so deep into arm wrestling and are such big fans of the sport that, you know, this is interesting for us, and these are good matches to most of us, I'm sure. But trying to put yourself out of that perspective and into like a newcomer to the sport, maybe there's better matches to be made, right? I don't know. Mr. Green says, I think they need one match per event to draw outside people in. Yeah. I'm sure they're thinking of doing that, right? It's already in their mind while they're trying to get these matches together, but I do agree there. Chuck dislikes the recent turn in East vs. West promotion. It does seem like it's going into kind of a new direction under the leadership of Robert Baxter lately, right? I can see that. Dan John says, I started playing MTG back in 98. That's early, man. That's really early. What is that like? I'm trying to think of the set that would have been out in 98. Tempest or something? What came out in 98? Maybe Mirage? Something like that? I think when I first started, I think Betrayers of Kamigawa just came out. So I don't know when that is. Pretty early on too. Not quite as early as 98, but they already switched to quote-unquote new borders by then. Jacobin says, feel like Autumn really fell down the ladder with that performance. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I kind of expected that would be the outcome, but yeah. Selfish says, I'm really looking forward to Dave versus Georgie. Yeah, indeed. Me too, man. Just good to see Dave back in the swing of things too. I hope he's still like competitive with people like Tsvetkov, right? He has to be, kind of, I think. If Dave shows up in good shape, I think he has a good chance in this match. That might be a little out there, might be a little controversial to some people, but I think can't really count Dave out. Sure, King's move. Jacobin says, hopefully Auden and Ray have a good pull over the next few days. Yeah, would be cool. The loser has to spend the night with Mr. Peanut. Hey, I can think of worse things than spending the night with Mr. Peanut. I'm sure there'd be a lot of Very interesting conversations. Lat Rousseau says, as aggressive as Matt is on the table, he seems like the coolest guy outside of competition. In my very limited interactions that I've had with Matt Mask, yeah, he seems like a really nice guy. That's what it looks like to me. Like to see how Novs does, says Jacobin, yeah. I hope he does well. He had a good presence, I thought, last time he pulled. Around Onslaught, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Dave's weakness is not his strength. It's his stable IQ. Yeah, people have been saying that for a long time. I don't know how true that is. You can kind of look back through Dave's arm wrestling career and the guy can pull, man. The way he pulled versus Vitali is one of those matches that I think I'll remember for a very long time. That kind of shattered the illusion a little to me that, like, Dave doesn't really know what he's doing on the table. Maybe he never had the need to be as technically proficient as a lot of the other guys just because of his strength, but I still think that, you know, in the lanes he's comfortable with, I think he's really good even on a technical level. He's pretty good at getting opponents into the lanes he's comfortable in, right? I think that's a skill in and of itself that people sometimes tend to overlook a little. That being said, I know Dave isn't like the top of the top when it comes to arm wrestling mastery or technical proficiency. I'm well aware of that. Why did Fetkov fell so low in the rankings and is fighting people outside top 10? Yeah, his stock did go down a little bit, right? Lat Rousseau says Dave always gets tired while Georgie seems to replenish his stamina well. Yeah, it's crazy because some of those really big guys have pretty good stamina on the table. Yeah, when he nearly had to get his foot amputated, Lat Rousseau. Dan John says first decks were Mercadian masks. Damn, you guys have been in the game for a long time. I think I was a very young teenager when I started around Betrayers. Kingsmove Social Club says, I think if Dave practiced technique a bit more, it would help. He's about as powerful as any human can get, besides Levan. Yeah, something to be said for that, for sure. Lat Rousseau says, Georgie said he's working on his press and side pressure. Hopefully he can make good progress. I want to see both guys do good. First and foremost, I think Dave, just because I did a lot of research on Dave before, so I kind of feel like I'm biased towards the athletes that I've covered on my channel, just because I feel like I know them a little better than some of the other athletes. Which I don't know any of them on a personal level, of course, but I just feel like I have a little more connection to those athletes just because I know what they've, like the ups and downs that they've gone through a little bit more. Dave knows what a table is. Yeah, indeed, Jacobin. I would think he does. I hope he does. Tomer says, I don't think Dave's stable IQ is bad. May not be as flush as Devon or John, but if John and Devon are the standard, then what are all of us? Yeah. Point. Hey Roy, how you doing, man? Says hello, arm historian. Auden should go to WAF every year and pull all the best European pullers. He will come back a monster. Yeah, that is kind of what people generally say, right? I remember people saying that to Ryan Bowen as well. Like, Ryan should take his time and kind of travel Europe, do all the tournaments, do Europeans, go to Worlds, become national champion, follow the circuit, the path there, and I do agree with you that maybe that would be the best path to becoming a good arm wrestler for Auden. But on the other hand, I think it's unrealistic for us to expect that from him because he has very little incentive to actually do that, right? He could be earning money, having fun, making content, still training, getting better at arm wrestling just at a slower pace while doing all those other really fun and profitable things. And still potentially get there in the end, right? At the same point, maybe just a little later or in a different way. So yeah, I think I get what you're saying 100%. I do think that would be the best way for him to get really good fast. But probably that's unrealistic for us to expect from him, in my opinion. Kings Blue says Dave isn't a noob, he just relied on being the stronger guy for so long. I'm actually a big fan of Dave too, and I have a lot in common. Awesome. Yeah, I certainly am not of the opinion that Dave is some kind of arm wrestling noob indeed. Chuck says Dave is like father playing some game on a casual level, never learning anything new, doing things like they were in the alpha and never caring about performance. To a degree, but then those guys won't dominate when they go to a gaming tournament, right? When they go to a tournament of that game, those guys won't dominate, while Dave still has those moments where he does dominate. So yeah, certainly a very interesting guy with an interesting trajectory as far as his career goes. I don't know where he's at. He's also like one of those, like if you check out his social media, guys, it's very down to earth. He seems to enjoy gaming, spending time with his family, stuff like that. Seems like a very chilled guy. So yeah, I don't know. I like the guy personally, and I hope we see more of him on the table. Let me quickly check if Neil is going live soon. For those that don't know, Neil Pickup usually goes live with the fix right after my live stream. I don't see any notifications, so possibly he won't be going live tonight. I'm not quite sure. King Who says arm wrestling is Dave's special interest, if you feel me. Latruso says Dave is still a beast. He took 2 rounds off of a lot of the top guys. He beat Vitaly Laletin not long ago, right? Am I remembering the outcome of that match wrong? Like, I know it was a very close match, but he did beat him in the end, right? Latruso says winning the first round versus Dave is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I do think a fired up Dave that just can drive to the side is very strong and very hard to beat off the go. That's true. It's versus West World Champions. Quite the lineup. Quite the lineup. Todd doing his signature move here. I like this poster. Maybe the solar flare is a little over the top to me, but that's nitpicking right at this point. Dave is on the fall, Vitaly is on the rise. Might be the case, yeah. I hope he doesn't fall too much more, Dave. Kingsmoon says Dave is one of the only top level pullers that competes with basic technique. He's a Goliath. Yeah, I do agree. When you watch him, it does feel like he's just arm wrestling in a pretty simple, straightforward way, right? He doesn't do a lot of fancy transitions, although there are those brief, kind of genius moments where he does, and he does quite well. So yeah, maybe it's just a matter of Dave getting a bit more out of his comfort zone when it comes to arm wrestling. I think he has the potential still, even with the injuries he has and I won't say advanced age, but he's getting up there a little. I think he still has the potential to do really well in like the top 10 or top 5 even. I'm talking about potential, right? I don't think right now he's in the top 5, but yeah. Georgi Tvetkov saying he can beat Vitali and that Kurdecha can beat him too is mean. Says someone here. Yeah, I don't know about that one indeed. Roy says, any opinions on Tim Talmadge's promotion with WWE? No. I don't think I know anything about that, Roy. Feel free to clue me in on that one. Kazazuri says, I'm out, boys. Bye. See you later, Kazazuri. Good to have had you here, man. Thank you for dropping by. I think I won't last too much longer myself, guys. I'm gonna try and work on one of the videos a little that I want to bring out on the channel soon. So yeah, I'll probably wrap it up pretty soon here. I don't think Neil is going live with the fix, so I guess instead of going to the fix, just scatter to the winds and return to me next week, same time, same place, right? Go about your business until then. Chuck also leaving. Yeah, I think people... It seems like a natural time for me to end the stream here. People are kind of leaving, filing out here. Getting late where I'm at too. We'll end the stream by taking a look at the poll here. Still exactly the same 30% of you watched MAC, which is a little higher than I was thinking. So yeah, good on you guys for supporting arm wrestling in that way. And for those that didn't, shame on you. No, I'm kidding, of course. I totally understand. The price point was quite high, so I totally get it. But yeah, thank you guys for dropping in. It's always really fun for me doing these at the end of the week. It's a good time for me to kind of wind down and just shoot the shit a little about my favorite sport in the world. With some of my favorite people in the world, let's face it. I really enjoy the community we've kind of built up here and hanging out with you guys every week. So thanks a lot for that. It's been a lot of fun indeed. And I'll see you hopefully next Sunday, same time, same place. Keep your eyes peeled for a new video dropping soon. And until then, take care of yourselves. Arm Historian out of here. Bye, guys.